Hi guys, so today we are going to talk about quite interesting watch. It's a special edition which is coming from Vostok Europe, and for the Vostok Europe it's a quite interesting brand which we did not review before. So here you can see this huge box, and it will be a good opportunity to actually acquaint ourselves with this brand, see what their watches look like. Well, here we will be talking about one model obviously, but it's still quite a special timepiece, so I suggest we open this huge box and take a closer look together. So as you might have seen, this is a really huge box, and we have it box in the box basically. We also have here the nice logo, and it's easy to open. It's a wooden box, and inside you get the watch sitting in the special tray. So what I'm going to do right now is take it out and show you how big is this watch. I wouldn't be surprised if this watch is actually making the huge part of the overall weight of this packaging, and I hope we will try to measure the packaging and we will put the number here in the video as well. But as for the watch, I said that this is the special limited edition, so it's made for the anniversary of this timepiece maker, and it will be available in a quite limited number. So only 200 pieces will be made, and well, manufacturer tried to use all the special components here, so it will be quite an interesting stuff to check on the dial, on the case, and even on the bracelet. And as usual, I suggest we start with the dial, because as you can see here, we get a lot of interesting things happening at once. So with the dial we got quite a funny situation here, because if you look at the official technical specifications, it's only 48 millimeters and doesn't sound that huge, but you can see how big it is in the real life. And we have this octagonal shape combined together with the circle shape of the dial or the watch face, and note that it's also slightly bent, and that's something what we will discuss when we will be talking about the casing. But here I think, well, the main eye catcher which is hard to miss is this let's say plating, which is made out of the real meteorite, and you also get the special certificate which actually proves that this is real piece of the star object, not something artificial. And this is really cool in my opinion, because as you can see, it has this unusual texture on it. But what is also making it special, because well, Vostok Europe is quite famous for their sturdy watches, and this one is not an exclusion from this rule. And here we get, I would say, really tough design. As you can see, all elements are quite big and easy to find, and even the Vostok Europe logo is somehow blending into the image, and it doesn't look something extra. And by the way, I was surprised to see that there are not that many writings actually here, so we have only the mention that it's automatic movement and also the water resistance, and all other writings they're actually working with the sub dials. So talking about the dials, as you can see, we get one main, obviously. We also get the sub dial for the hours. As far as you can see, it's a 24-hour scale, and also on the top we have the power reserve. So this one is somewhat similar to what we recently saw on the Orient Skeleton watch, and I really recommend to check this one as well. Here we also get the opening for the movement inside, because you won't be able to check it from the rear side. That's also something we'll cover a bit later. And of course the handset. So here comes quite interesting part, because this watch features quite large hands. As you can see, the second hand even marked with a bright red color, so it will be easy to find it on the dial in any condition, I think. And what will make it even easier to find all of these parts is that they have the superluminova covering and also the tritium tubes. So this is something what is not that often met on the watches in this price range, I would say. And I have to say that it has its own special effect, especially in real life, because it's really fast to catch some light and then to shine in the dark. You will see it also in the special video inserts, which will be somewhere here. But overall, I like this effect. It also adds the levels to the composition of the dial. As you can see, it's not plain, and that's why it looks a bit more interesting. And of course, it helps to overall legibility, because all of these indices are really easy to find on your dial. What is quite interesting here is that there is no date indicator. I was quite surprised to see that Vostok decided to omit this, because it's a kind of tool watch and it would be handy here. But the power reserve indicator is always useful, especially on automatic watch. As you remember, this is automatic one. And we also get the subdial here engraved on the bezel. Obviously it's not moving, it's not doing anything, but still nice touch of the design here, and I think it looks in place. It doesn't look something extra. And here we can move to the casing of this watch, because as you can see, it's also another part which makes this watch unusual and different from what we have on the market. So while I'm handling the watch this way, I have to mention the thickness. It's 16.5 millimeters, and it's quite impressive. I have to say that it's not something sleeve friendly, and do not even think about hiding it in the sleeve of your t-shirt or short. And as you can see, it's a hefty watch. So I think that was the main idea of this design, so that's why it should be sitting proud on your wrist. And I also like this special styling here, that the, let's say, base plate is finished in the dark color, and we have this special raised section in a silver color or brushed metal color. It adds a bit of the visual play to this design, and it looks a bit, I would say, lighter, maybe a bit more sophisticated. And of course, this octagonal shape also makes it a bit more sci-fi, so if you're a fan of Doom or maybe some other space games, this is something of the vibes you get here. The same can be said about the crown. So crown is really a large part. It's a screw down crown. We also get the Vostok logo here. It's really easy to operate. We have the hacking here, so definitely a good addition here. And as you can see, it looks right in place. It doesn't look something unsuitable here. And by the way, regarding the 20-year anniversary, we have another small reminder on the opposite side. Also the special valves for diving, because here we get the 200 meters water resistance, so it's something to, let's say, count with. And I think this watch is definitely a good tool choice if you would like to do some diving with your watch. And also note that for the case shape, because of its huge size, we also get slightly bent lugs, because otherwise it will be really difficult to wear it on your wrist, even if you have really thick hands. And what else is the, of course, integrated bracelet. So regarding the bracelet, I have to note that we also get the different versions of the straps, so that's not only the one here. We get, for example, this silicone, I think, or rubber strap in the red color. There is another one in a black color and another one with the imitation of the leather. So 4 straps in total in the standard package, and this is really cool because it completely changes the perception of this watch. Definitely to play with something, and of course you will have to use the special screwdriver, because if I remove it off the pouch, here we get the special springs, just a typical watch design. And I think if you're watch fan, you will know what to do. And by the way, here when I flip it over, you can see that we have the solid case back, so there are no clear inserts whatsoever. That's why I was saying that this dial opening is actually the only possibility to look at the movement inside. And by the way, another thing, we discussed that the glass is slightly curved here, so I saw in the technical specifications that we get the mineral glass, which is K1, and frankly speaking, I do not have a lot of experience with this material, so if you have something to say, definitely write in the comment section. I will be happy to hear your opinion about such part. But in the meantime, we can move to the bracelet, because as you can see, it's massive and it also makes up the overall composition of this watch. So for the bracelet, it's 25 millimeters wide. As I said, here we get the standard installation of this metal bracelet, and it looks right in place. In my opinion, I would leave it as it is because it looks sleek here and it looks as a one piece with overall design. But again, we also get here the rubber straps. We also get the leather option here, if I will be able to take it out. So here it is. So if you prefer such styling with such large watch, why not? And of course you get it as the, let's say, free inclusion in the standard package, so why not to try to combine the different stylings of the straps with this massive watch case. And of course the screwdriver, because I mentioned it, so I have to show it, I guess. So here it is, and it even has the Vostok logo here on the top, so really nice piece, which will come handy in order to change the straps on your watch. As for the movement, we have quite a nice surprise here because it's an automatic movement here, and we have 40 hours power reserve. It's visible here on the power reserve indicator, but the movement is not from Miyota as you would guess. It's coming from Epson, and frankly speaking, it was quite surprising because, well, for me, I was also expecting to see some variation of the Miyota inside, but Epson movement is not that widely spread among the watches in this price range, even though it's quite an interesting caliber, so definitely reliable one. And from what I saw on the forum discussions, it was also quite a good movement to have on your wrist. So 40 hours power reserve is also quite good, so I don't think you will have any issues, especially considering the fact that you have the power reserve indicator here. And now we can also talk about the in-use experience, because this large watch definitely deserves the in-use section, so let's go. So this steel case is quite large, as I said in the beginning, so the size is definitely something to cope with. So if you have the thin wrist, definitely not a good choice, and that's why I try to be real about your hand size and not to overestimate it, because as you can see, it's really big. You will see also the wrist shots, and it will be visible that even on my average sized wrist it looks kind of weird, so you should be quite confident. Nevertheless, it's surprisingly comfortable to wear, so even though here we have a hefty weight and the size is also something too difficult to hide too, so here you will have to be ready for all of this. Nevertheless, the legibility, the overall build quality and the design, I really like it here, so we do not have any extras just because of the sake making it special. As you can see, everything is quite functional, and even those tritium tubes, they look decent and they are also handy in the dark time, and of course they add the special quirk to the overall design of this watch. But again, if you are not confident in the big watches on your wrist, definitely give it a try. Even though this is a really special watch, it might be too big for your wrist, unfortunately. And that's the styling of the Vostok Europe, so you will not be able to avoid it. But in my opinion, this watch has its own beauty because somehow it manages to avoid this cheap look, because we are used to see a lot of big watches from different brands. They are not that sophisticated in design. Here we have quite an opposite situation, and in my opinion it's really good. And what's also quite interesting is the price tag. It should be around 2,000 euros. And as I said before, it places this watch in a quite tricky market area where you have a lot of competition, but at the same time few of the rivals can offer the same features, the same quality, and maybe the same specialty, because it's a limited edition after all. 200 pieces will be sold out really quickly, I think, especially with such design where you don't have really bright colors. It's quite strict and elegant, as long as you can say those words about such big watch. And of course I will be happy to hear your opinion, so write it in the comment section below. This timepiece should be available in the Helvetii watches. Be sure to check it if you can, and of course you will find it on their website. and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.